I'm wrestling. You're not weak for me. Celebrate what I am. Celebrate what I have been. Celebrate what I represent. And celebrate the many ways I have impacted your life. I will survive this test as I have survived others. I am forever etched into the very fiber of all mankind. The world needs me. Time is on my side. History guarantees me. I am wrestling. Do not wait for me.
What's up, everybody? This is Ben Askren, as always with my co-host Tommy Rowlands, and we are on episode 38. And Tommy, we're going to start off by go ahead and celebrate Kyle Snyder's Olympic victory, because it was only about 15 minutes ago that happened.
It was incredible, man. I was at a soccer tournament all weekend, following the results, watching a lot on the sidelines from my iPhone. We pulled over to watch Kyle's match. It was incredible. What a moment for American wrestling. You know, I got to add for Buckeye Nation, too. So
Of course.
Hey, but you got something to celebrate, too, Ben.
Mizzou got a medal. That's
right.
That was the first one in school's history. I failed us, but Jaden Cox came through, got himself a bronze medal, and frankly could have done better than that. We'll talk about that when we get in-depth weight by weight. But tough weekend. Great weekend for Kyle Snyder. Tough weekend for America. Tommy, are we going to hop right into the corruption, or do we want to celebrate Kyle Snyder some more? I mean, this guy's 20 years old, world champion, Olympic champion, definitely on track to be the best American of all time. And I don't want to put that out before it's there. And we were talking about Jordan Burroughs last week doing that. But obviously, when you have two world and Olympic titles and you're 20 years old, that talk's going to start.
Yeah, let's just take 3 or 4 minutes. 20 years old, world and Olympic champion, going to be a junior in college. It's unprecedented success at that age in the United States.
No one's ever done it. Yeah. Never been done. And one of the I would say for me, one of the most incredible things is that he struggled this year on the international level. He was not flawless by any sense of the imagination. He just lost to Gaizumov not too long ago.
Well, his 3 losses this year were to Kazimierak Gatsalov, who's a multiple world and Olympic champion.
Legend.
And Zurboltukayev, who was the slight favorite going into this weekend, but I think he gassed out from maybe he had his cycle got a little bit thrown off with all the doping issues in Russia. Yep. And then he lost to Gaizumov, so he wasn't losing to a bunch of fish.
No, not by any sense of imagination.
But I do hear you. He's never been dominant at the world level, but he's been the man twice. So You got to give it to the guy, especially for his age, his maturity, his approach to life and the sport. I know him personally. I think you know him a little bit, Ben. You know, it's, as you would imagine, it's second to none. So really cool to see, that type of person win an Olympic gold medal. And it's got to be good for our country long term.
100% good for America. I was thinking, Tommy, if in the case that Kyle would not have won, when was the last time America didn't win a gold medal? Obviously, excluding 80 when we didn't go. But obviously, 12 we had one, 8 we had one, 4 we had one, 2000 we had one.
I'm wondering if
96. It's been
I don't know.
Never.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know who won or didn't win in 64 or 68. But I know Gable won in 72 and possibly others. And obviously 76, I know people won. And I know that Blue Ball won in 60. So if somebody won in 64 and 68, then we'd have to start going back to 56 when I wasn't even, I don't even know the historical accounts for
Tommy, I've actually had a couple good talks with people about our top 10 list. Lee Kemp reached out to me. He said, "Thanks, Ben, for sticking up for me. Tommy's a real a-hole."
Did he really?
No, he didn't say Tommy's a a-hole. He did say thanks for sticking up for me. I found out some good information from him, though. And this is the Olympic episode, so hell, might as well talk about it. That Super World Championships, I guess they invited the best 4 guys, which that year did include the Olympic champion, and Lee did beat the Olympic champion at that tournament as well.
So it was after the 80 Olympics?
It was in December, I believe December of that year. So that was very interesting. And he beat the Olympic champ that year, so that was really interesting. And then I talked to Mike Chapman, who's he's one of the preeminent wrestling historians in America, quite a bit. And actually, I'll forward you the email. I have an email in my inbox right now. But he said that way back in the day, the Wrestling Hall of Fame was in Stillwater alongside that still is in Stillwater, alongside the USA Wrestling national offices. And he thought there was a lot of the World Championships brackets back then, but he said it was kind of disorganized. And he thinks since then they've been thrown away or just discarded. And he doesn't think any of the old World Championship brackets exist anywhere. Because I was trying to ask him questions about that, and he said he doesn't think they exist.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
Wow.
When we're talking about the history of our sport, the old Olympic Games, the old World Championships, he doesn't think those exist. And obviously that played out this weekend, Tommy. You sent me a few texts. We were talking about how many countries the Soviet Union encompasses now. And at 97 kilograms, 5 of the top 6 placers were former Soviet countries.
Yeah. I want to get the official numbers. We're hot off the press from the event, but I think we have yet another Olympic cycle where there's 24 medals passed out. I think definitely greater than 12 Soviet countries.
I didn't do the math on this one yet. I did not.
Had a guy with a medal. Well,
I'm trying to find there was an awesome tweet.
Let's just start it off this way. Azerbaijan had 5 medals.
They had 5.
Russia had 3.
Did they only have 3?
Yeah, and Georgia had 2. So that's 10.
11 right there.
That's
10. You're right.
10 right there. Then how many? Then Uzbekistan had, I believe, 2. That's 12.
I'm going to it right now. I'm going to tell you the answer. Let's go.
And then Saratov from Romania, he's a Russian.
He's a Russian. So I'm trying to find this really interesting tweet, Tommy. I asked how many former Russians.
I
wrestling.
saw that.
And this guy tweeted me, and he had the list.
They aren't even former Russians. Those are the guys from the Caucasus
that live there now. That are wrestling from other countries, and it was guys from the Caucasus. Dang it, I can't find it. Guys in the Caucasus.
I got it, Ben. I took a snap picture of it and sent it to
awesome. We're wrestling for 13 different countries.
Yeah. So 5 of the 6 Russians are from the Caucasus. Keep in mind, the Caucasus are smaller than the state of Ohio.
Sure.
And it's basically Ossetia, Dagestan area. You got towns like Vladikavkaz and Makhachkala. You have the Chechnya area, and those make up the Caucasus Mountain region. And that is where wrestling is the mecca on the planet. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 countries, as you said, Ben, that had a Caucasus region representative at the Olympic Games.
Crazy.
20 athletes. Now, keep in mind, there's 6 weight classes, and I think we have 19 guys per weight.
Yeah, so there's only 114.
114 guys in the tournament. 20 of them are from the Caucasus. Not to mention the other, let's call it 12 to 15 guys that are Russians. Like, for example, Viktor Lebedev is the only non-Caucasus Olympian. He's from Yakutsk, which is closer to Alaska than it is Moscow.
Yep.
So anyways, it's just interesting. The system that we're in right now from a competitive standpoint is, in my opinion, uniquely different. It's almost like we have, these Russian countries have like free agency periods and transfers and, buying out somebody's contract and this and that, because to have 20 guys from the Caucasus represent other countries is just unprecedented stuff.
I agree. Okay, so Tommy, I got the final count. I'm looking at the medals right now. 13 out of 24 medals went to someone representing a former Soviet country. And if you want to include Saratov from Romania and Yasar from Turkey, 15 out of 24.
I'm not surprised, are you?
That's what percentage is it? That's 5 out of 8. That's 63% of the medals.
Yeah. You know what's interesting to me, too, and I know that you and I could get in a debate on this, and maybe we should save it because there's so many things to talk about.
Yeah, we got to go.
But the average age of the 6 Olympic champions is 22 and a half.
Wow.
So, yeah, and so, to me, our country's best wrestlers as a whole, as a general consensus, is starting to focus on freestyle full time at the time the rest of the world is winning the Olympics. And I don't want to use Jaden Cox and Kyle Snyder as an example of why the folk style system doesn't hurt us. Those guys,
but there is
exceptions.
But Tommy, no, stop. There is something. I provided you that data before. There's something, and I would say our freestyle training system is working. There's something that says the most effective time for an athlete is right post collegiate training. I mean, there's very few people that improve after.
I won't argue against the fact that the current post-collegiate success for our country's best athletes and most successful wrestlers is not worse, and in fact could possibly be better than our current model. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if these guys were wrestling freestyle since birth, they would be even better. I'm not saying that post-collegiate success right out of college, it statistically proves that a guy that becomes a nomad for 5 years and then tries to win a medal, that's not what I'm arguing against. What I'm arguing against is a hypothetical scenario that has never once existed in the United States, and that is international wrestling from birth. And so you can't...
Okay. Can we get off this topic? Because people want to hear about what happened today.
We should talk about that in another episode.
Well, I'm going to fit that in. I'm going to fit that in with what we're going around, Tommy, and why I don't like it. Because if we go to international style from birth, we are essentially being governed by these idiots and corrupt leaders. With what happened today at the Olympics, it's an embarrassment. It's a shame that our great sport is being overshadowed by the corruption. I mean, Franklin Gomez, we won't even talk about the Mongolia match yet. But the Franklin Gomez match was so corrupt and so, I don't even want to say inept, because I know there's no way these refs at that level can be that inept. Plain out, it was corrupt, it was unfair, it was unjust. And they said they said they knew they were wrong. They removed the wrestlers, but how does that help Franklin Gomez? He's got to wait 4 freaking more years for a shot at a match that he won and should have been in the Olympic semifinals. He don't get another shot, Tommy. He's going to be 4 years older. He's done. You know what I'm saying? They screwed him.
It is unbelievable. It's embarrassing. To be fair, I did not see the Gomez match this morning, Ben, but I've read all about it.
It was about as clear as day as it gets.
Yeah, it's by all accounts. I've shared many text messages with many guys that know a lot about wrestling, you being one of them. And so what bothers me the most is that our sport was kicked out of the Olympics 2 years ago, in part for rampant corruption. And that is either stupidity or corruption or both.
No, it's corruption. There's
no place for it.
You can't be that stupid. It was like, am I holding up one finger or 2 fingers? And I'm holding up 2, and you say, I'm holding up 1. And I say, no, I'm not. And you say, well, I'm the ref. It's 1. I mean, it was that clear as day. I was actually talking to Joe Warren. I did my other podcast today too, and Joe said, I said in this era when there's every freaking match is videotaped, everybody's watching, we're all connected via social media, to be that corrupt right in our freaking face is so disgusting. And he's like, yeah, I remember in the coin flip era when they'd flip the coin and it would come up red, and then they'd hold it up and say it's blue just to try to cheat you.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, and then I got a couple good tweets from Brent Metcalf that I retweeted. He said, this sport is not that hard to interpret. It's blatantly obvious when injustice occurs. We are better than this. Wrestling fans, you are now witnessing what occurs at every international tournament. It ain't right, but it's reality. And that, Tommy, we've been international. That is the reality. People get cheated on a regular basis. So how can our sport keep going on this level? How can the same leaders that were in charge before still be in charge? And we kind of let him off the hook and say that this Lagovic guy's changing shit, but he's not.
I'm not letting UWW off the hook for this, Ben, but I will tell you one thing that is different. They probably haven't exhausted the appropriate measures to take care of this today, because they could have re-wrestled the match. They could have done a lot of things, and they didn't because to your point, that match was probably for sale.
Had to be.
And the UWW guys knew about it. They're not going to intervene with something that's for sale because they've probably been. It's just I don't even want to go down that road.
Yes.
But they did issue a statement. They are doing things that they didn't do 4 years ago. So I'm not giving them a pass either. But I'm just saying that they recognize what we're up against with the perception that we have with the IOC, with the American or the global sports culture.
So then it gets worse, Tommy. So later that day, this very same athlete, let me get his name right here so I don't get it wrong. His name is
Anzagor.
Navruzov. Navruzov from Uzbekistan. So he was the guy that got the call against Franklin Gomez. He's in the bronze medal match against Mongolia. And Tommy, it was really interesting because there was a sequence with 5 minutes and 40 seconds into the match, so there's only 20 left. And it appears to me, as it's very clear, that Mongolia hits out of bounds. He's a defensive wrestler. He hits out of bounds, then recovers and scores a takedown, 2 points to tie the match 6-6, right?
Right.
Uzbekistan protests. They say, nope, we're right. Mongolia gets the point. So I'm thinking, oh, they're trying to run this back and give it back to the Uzbekistan guy because he got a match earlier today, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking, wow, that's crazy. They're screwing him because they screwed someone else for him earlier in the day. Well, there's 18 seconds left, Tommy. They get tied up. They go in an over-under situation. The Mongolian defends it. There's 6 seconds left. 6, right? He takes 2 steps back. He puts his fist in the air. He circles halfway around the mat. Okay, now there's 6 seconds. Now that is kind of a fleeing the hold type situation, but I mean, so he takes 2 steps back. There's probably 4 to 5 seconds left. He circles. I get it. He's celebrating. He won a freaking Olympic bronze medal, right? And they call him for caution in 1 as time runs out. So there's no seconds on the clock. Caution in 1. Well, the Mongolians are already out partying. They won a freaking bronze medal, Tommy. The coaches are on the mat. They're freaking going nuts. And they get it sorted out. And they make clear that they gave a caution in 1, which makes the Uzbekistan guy the bronze medalist here. And now you've seen pictures of this, but Tommy, it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen happen.
So I've seen the pictures.
They start stripping. They start throwing their shoes,
it's
throwing
amazing.
their clothes. I mean,
I
wow.
love it and I hate it. I mostly love it, but isn't it kind of freaking hilarious that
I mean, yeah, it's when you're sick of it. And I remember, obviously, and I was so early in my international career, Tommy, but I'll tell you a story that when I got screwed over in Kiev, and this is exactly what Brett Metcalf was talking about. So I'm winning 4-3, and this is a 3-period system, right? I lost the first period. I'm winning the second period. I'm gassing this guy out. I'm winning 4-3. There's 6 seconds left on the clock, right?
Right.
So they start the clock. We're wrestling. I'm thinking, like, it's been freaking way more than 6 seconds. What the hell's going on? Right? So I look up, the clock still hasn't started, and we've been wrestling for a significant amount of time. So I start pointing at the clock, right? As I point at the clock, he attacks me, and I give up a 1-point takedown. This is back in the 1-point takedowns. I give up a 1-point takedown as the buzzer goes off. So I'm like, this is bullshit. It's just crap. Like, they didn't start the clock.
It's unbelievable.
So I say, I'm not getting off the damn mat. So I stay on the mat. I said, you need to review this. So here's what they do, Tommy, to review it. They rewind to where they started the clock, right? So remember, there was a period where they weren't starting the clock. They rewind to where they started the clock. They count to 6 on their fingers. They say it's good. And it's like, I literally stood on the mat for about 5 minutes because I couldn't believe how blatantly they were cheating me. I really couldn't believe it. And that's what these Mongolians were thinking. They're thinking,
I've had some.
How is this happening?
I got jobbed at the Oregon once. I don't even want to get into the details, but Sean Bourmet pretty much lost his mind, and he's a pretty calm, reserved guy. It's bad. You know what's funny, though, is even though I've never seen an Eastern European coach strip naked, darn near naked. I've probably seen an Eastern European coach take off his shirt in protest over 10 times in my international career.
Come on.
Yeah, always when I was overseas. It's like it's a reaction. It's like a cultural thing. You rip off your shirt when you're mad.
Okay, so wait, I want to get, and so the same ref that did the Gomez match that was blatant, they screwed Yazdani, who actually should have beaten Gaizumov, who just wrestled Kyle Snyder in the finals. They screwed him so hard, Tommy. He was on a single leg. He got to take, the knee was down. Then they didn't give him a takedown. Gaizumov went up into a power position, quad pod type of deal.
I saw this.
Yazdani snaps him. He kind of hits his calf, hits his butt. There's definitely a second point touching there, and they still don't give him the takedown. And that was essentially the match.
Yeah, I saw it. It's brutal. So the only question I have is that was clearly before time was up.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Then that is pitiful.
It was about 5 seconds. 5 seconds left in the period. So yeah, I mean, just so much rampant corruption. And Tommy, it's crazy. The world is watching. I mean, people, it's not like these are matches that no one's seeing. Everyone's got streaming. Everyone's watching these matches, and it's happening. So, to Brett Metcalf's point, this stuff happens all the time, and UWW's failed to fix it. So, where do we go from here? What do we do to get this fixed? Because it has to be fixed, right?
Right. It's
so how does that happen?
unbelievable. You know what a funny when we used to play card games overseas,
Yeah.
and Sammy Henson. It was when I just started Wrestling International. So Sammy Henson and Chris Bono and those guys were, at the time, they were the older guys on the circuit. They were like 30, 31, and I was 23 or whatever.
Sure.
And we would play cards, and every now and again they just change the rules on me because I was a younger guy. And they're like, "What are you gonna do? Change the rules?" Like, no, man, it's called Fila. We're gonna Fila you, and we're just gonna change things. We're just gonna change things up on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Anyways, it's kind of a funny story. It's what I'm trying to get at is that it's common knowledge.
It's a reality of the situation.
Amongst the international circuit that this stuff happens all the time. Just inexplicable interpretations of the rules that cause you to have no other reason than to believe that something's behind it, that it's corruption or intentional bias. I mean, maybe it's not corruption, maybe it's just wanting your country to win. I don't know what it is, but
it's corruption, Tommy. Okay, listen, we know they're getting paid. Is that true or false?
I don't know that they are, but I believe.
Listen,
Yes,
I know wrestlers have got paid. I've heard them talking about it.
Yeah.
I heard them talking about it. So
I'm betting on that. Yes.
So I know wrestlers are getting paid. So we know that kind of corruption is going on. So the next logical extension is a referee getting paid. Why not?
Right.
So, I mean, it has to. So, I mean, at this point, the UWW, there's either got to be a house cleaning, there's got to be something stepped up. Because this is the biggest stage that wrestling has, is the Olympic Games every 4 years. And, maybe the IOC is leading the charge. They're corrupt as shit. So maybe they're saying, I don't care if UWW is corrupt because we're corrupt too. Who cares, kind of deal. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure, but as a wrestling fan, it's disgusting to watch.
It's brutal.
And unfortunately,
brutal.
That's what we just talked about for the last 10 minutes when we should be talking about Olympic results.
Well, I think I'm interested to see what happens, let's call it in the next 3 weeks.
Sure.
With you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to close the door on UWW acting swiftly and abruptly when they see. I'm going to give.
What do they do there? What do they do there? How do they fix it? I mean, at this point, because you can't give Gomez back to match, so what do?
You could penalize the country. You could investigate the issue, find out who's behind it, and when you find out who's behind it, penalize the country. If you penalize the country, this stuff will end. Sure. This stuff will end if you penalize the country. If you penalize an individual, that's why the mafia works. You find a fall guy, you pay him off to take the fall. It's just like if a referee gets kicked out of UWW,
that doesn't solve the situation.
Yeah, and if you're truly a corrupt person, you're like, hey man, a corrupt guy is going to say, hey, I paid you $10,000 to do that for me. Here's another $20,000 because I really respect you for not ratting me out. Yeah. And corruption continues. You've got to hit them where it hurts. Yeah. So if this is taking place, so I'm giving the UWW an opportunity to really see this thing through before I cast complete judgment. Right. I do agree though, Ben. I do agree. They could have re-wrestled the match. They should have re-wrestled the match.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing.
Can I give a little more pile-on on the UWW while we're at it?
And you're a pile-on guy.
My wife, for the life of her, could not understand why there's 2 bronze medals. And then, and when you look at it, it's so stupid. And I understand it's an IOC thing, they're trying country medals, but the unbalanced unseeded brackets, which Kyle Snyder, he would have won regardless, but he benefited from the day. Most of the best guys were on the bottom. Burroughs obviously did not benefit from. He's got freaking G'day of second round. So unbalanced unseeded brackets with 2/3 places, it's like, could you try any harder to get someone who's undeserving a medal?
Well, they want parity.
I understand that, but there's no other way you can do it.
It's organized. It's organized. I don't want to call it crime, but it's just an organized way to get what you want. That's just. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not representative of what's great about the sport. And I agree, Ben. No seeds, no overtime. There's 2 third places. There's only 6 weight classes.
No real wrestlebacks.
There's no real wrestlebacks. You got follow the leader going on. We still have corruption. It would appear within the system that still becomes prevalent at the Olympic level. We've got a lot of issues. Now, to say that the UWW has not improved the product from the time the sport was reinstated back in the Olympics between that time and now, they've done better. They've done better, and you can't do it all overnight. So I'm really interested to see what happens with this Gomez stuff and how they handle it.
Well, I sure hope there's some quick and swift action. And that was not the only reffing thing. I mean, I'm gonna bring up Jaden Cox's match against Salas. There was some freaking insanity, and Salas ran off the mat, didn't even want to shake the hands because it was so bad. So it wasn't just those couple matches that I mentioned. There was the Yazdani match got stolen from him. There was a handful of matches like that were in that fashion. So, anyways, let's get on to the wrestling. You know, we got UWW has to address this issue, but let's get on to the wrestling. So, 57 kilos.
Dan Dennis got smoked 11-0. His guy didn't get pulled back in.
I'm gonna get heat for this, and I know I get cast as a guy who talks crap on Iowa, which I have, guilty. But I tried to. How has Iowa not trained to stop a gut wrench, Tommy? Mike Zadek got tech fault in the Olympics in 2008 with a gut wrench. Boom, boom, boom. Tony Ramos in the trials by Dan Dennis, teched, boom, boom, boom. And then Dan Dennis gets teched with a gut wrench. Like, are they not doing any gut wrench defense training?
I don't even want to get into the technical side of it. It's just, I mean, yeah.
Right? You got to.
I'm not surprised. I guess I'm just, he deserved to be on the team fair and square. I'm not surprised by that result.
Yeah, a lot of people were kind of.
I think he did What's that?
A lot of people were kind of predicting him to do well, but obviously he's never had any success on the national level, and that was with the way the weight classes
not
were.
Once. I mean, he doesn't have a win internationally that I know of.
I don't think so.
Is of any merit, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
And honestly, 57 ended up being one of the tougher brackets because what you had a lot of those 61 kilo guys coming down. Dubov being one of them.
Dubov's the guy that teched. He's the guy that teched.
Correct, Dan Dennis.
Yeah.
And he placed last year at the World Championships at 61.
Did Dubov get bronze? I know he was in the bronze medal match.
No, he did not. It was so the medalists at that weight class are I can't even say the damn Georgian guy's name. It's like 27 characters.
Kingishvili.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
He beat Higuchi 4-3, and there was a fair amount of people thought Higuchi should have had a takedown in there too. So that was another match in question. And then in the bronze medal, you got Rahimi and Aliyev. I think the most fun guy to watch in that weight class is Bond, but he's boom or bust. And, it could be he's that good and that bad, or it could be he got paid, right? I don't know. And you don't know either because the Cubans take money. So is he that good and that bad? Because when he's good, he's so freaking good. He destroyed.
Oh yeah.
I believe it was 2014, maybe world champion from North Korea. He just destroyed him in the wrestlebacks. I mean, it was so fun to watch. And then he gets killed by Rahimi in the bronze medal match. It's like, well, he might have got paid. I don't really know. Hard to say.
Yeah. So that result was disappointing, but not surprising for me. And I take nothing away from Dan Dennis. It's just I wasn't counting him in for a medal. Sure.
Okay, so let's go 65 kilograms. We discussed the Gomez robbery. So you had Molinaro at this weight class, and frankly, that's funny.
Frankly,
I think he did pretty well. He didn't get a medal, but he wrestled his butt off. He lost to Asgarov. He beat him 10-0. He kind of handled him.
Asgarov handles a lot of people. I agree with you, Ben. I thought Frank Molinaro did a great job.
Yeah,
I thought he did a great job, and I think he finished appropriately with where he's been wrestling at the past 4 or 5 months. Top 5, 6, 7 in the world, which is a great
huge jump from where he was at.
I completely agree. I thought he did a good job, and I thought his result was representative of where he shows he's at right now.
Sure. Okay, so this is.
How about Romanov, the Russian?
Do Azerbaijanis, do they throw matches at all?
No.
Are you sure? Because as good as Asgarov was earlier in the day and as tough as he wrestled, seeing what happened to him in the finals, I'm like, I got some questions in my head, Tommy. I'm like, how in the world did that just happen to him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he got a death threat or something. How's he gonna get beat like
Romanov,
that?
Romanov, I think Romanov, is that how you say his name?
Romanov, yes, he's very good, but
I think
as
he scored
Garov's,
more. I would say that he scored more points than anybody in the Olympics.
well, I'll tell you the results right here. He had, I'm trying to get to his first round match. He had first round. He beats Heisland Garcia out of Canada 7-1. Then he beats the Cuban 11-3. Then he beats the Mongolian 6-0. And then he beats Naruzov 18-7. So yeah,
and then he beat Asgarov 10-0.
10-0. So he did score a lot of points, but
I think he scored the most. I mean, how could you? I mean, he had 28 in his last 2 matches.
yeah, I mean, as good as Asgarov is, what happened to him in the finals was, I would say, totally out of character. So Tommy, this is the issue with corruption. No, this is the issue with corruption. When we know there's corruption, which you and I both know there is, it makes you question shit that maybe you shouldn't question. I'm questioning this final because I know there's corruption in wrestling. Now, I haven't known an Azerbaijan guy to throw a match, but as good as Asgarov is, that result's questionable to me.
I don't think he threw it. Azerbaijan is a well-funded Russian province on the Caspian Sea. They pay their guys a lot of money to transfer out of the Caucasus and other parts of Russia to represent Azerbaijan.
So what if he got a death threat or something?
Well, okay.
I don't know, right? I don't know. But I'm just saying.
I think that Romanov, if there's anybody that's most likely to rattle off 10 points in a few flurries, it would be him in the whole tournament, with the exception of Sadulayev.
Hey, wasn't Romanov, didn't Romanov wrestle at Worlds last year?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think he won. If he did, I don't think he won.
I remember the Russian had a questionable win off Boris Novachkov. Remember, there was a very, very shady call, probably corruption.
So was it Romanov?
I'm going to try to look it up right now. Hold on, I'm Googling it. I don't remember if it was Romanov or the other Russian, which I don't recall his name right now, but give me about 20 seconds. What was more dead air time like we did last week? Hey, one funny fact. So during our dead air time while I'm searching this, one funny fact, Tommy, was that there was three. We talk about the Russians going to other places, right?
Right.
There was 3 Cubans in the wrestleback because Chamiso obviously is. Chamiso's a Cuban, wrestling for Italy.
Haslin Garcia from Canada is Cuban.
And then there was a real Cuban. So I thought that was funny that there was 3 Cubans in the 5 people in the wrestlebacks or whatever.
Yeah, we got Cuban defects, we got Cuban wrestlers, we got Russian.
They're everywhere.
We got Russian transfers, Russian free agents. We've got Russian countries. We've got everything. It's a wild right now.
All right, it was Romanov last year. So let me see. Let me go through Romanov's results. He beats Novachkov 11-7, and that was a bullcrap match, Tommy. That was where Novachkov kind of threw him to his back, and to my opinion, it was very obvious. I really thought it was. And they said, no, that was Romanov. So it should have been 4 points Novachkov, and instead it goes 4 points Romanov. So Romanov wins 11-7 in that match. And then he gets pinned by Naruzov, the Uzbekistan guy. He gets pinned by him in the semis.
Wow.
What?
Just wow. Well, Romanov was the man. I thought he was the outstanding wrestler of the tournament. I mean, you could say Sadulayev, but I thought in terms of just a guy coming out and saying, I'm bringing heat, I'm winning the Olympics, that guy was awesome. I watched all of his matches this morning, all the way through the semis. I did not see him spank Asgarov, who's the reigning Olympic champion at the weight below. That doesn't exist anymore. But anyways, I thought that guy was incredible this morning when I watched all his matches.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's good. He's great. I shouldn't use good that liberally. He's great, but when I talk about the corruption, it makes you question stuff, and that sucks for the sport because a lot of these matches are legitimate, but when it makes you question stuff, that's what makes it shitty to me. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to 74 kilos. Obviously, this is
just gut-wrenching, dude. It was brutal. I mean, it's there's nobody in American wrestling that deserves a pass more and then some than Jordan Burroughs. I mean, it's like it was a bad performance, but I mean, this guy's done so much, and he had no signs of this he showed no signs of this happening, Ben. No signs.
No signs.
What do you think happened?
Well, I mean, I think we saw something that we've never seen before in the wrestleback, and that's Jordan Burroughs kind of packed it in. We've never seen that before. And I've been watching Jordan since he was 18 years old as a true freshman at the University of Nebraska. There's no way Beksad Abdurrahmanov, as good as he is 10 points better than Jordan Burroughs. That's an impossibility. So he definitely didn't bring his A game in that match. And on the front side, Gideyev's good. He's probably failed a handful of drug tests. I think that's not even a libel or slander. I think that's a likelihood when you read the McLaren report and you realize how many drug tests that Russia has failed as a group, and you realize he's probably one of the guys getting tested because he's the number one guy. He's the world team member. So you realize that, and then obviously he's good. On top of that, so and it wasn't a blowout last year. I believe Burroughs won 5-4 or 6-4 last year.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, it was close. I still would have picked Burroughs to win that match.
Yeah, of course. I would have too. But, one thing I noticed that I've never noticed before, and this is being so nitpicky because we're talking about what we talked about, possibly the greatest American wrestler of all time. Maybe, his legacy is a little tainted after this week. But on his counterattacks, which are usually so deadly, he was going right every single time. He never went left on his counter. So do you know what I'm talking about? He gets the guy underneath him, and he attacks the hamstring and then runs through him if they come up. And Gideyev was ahead of him. Gideyev was already turning into the counterattack as Burroughs was going there, which took it away from him. So, I've never noticed that before, probably because it's worked for him just about every time. When we're talking about how good and how effective he is. But I think that might have been the issue, is that he's going counterattack right every single time. So Gideyev was anticipating where Jordan was going to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing about being the chased instead of the chaser, is that, I think he memorized everything that he does and worked to shut him down. And I don't think Burroughs got a rhythm. I don't think that he popped off as many shots as he could have. I don't think he had an intention of creating chain wrestling sequences where he can fall into some counterattacks and stuff like that. It just wasn't there. I mean, he didn't have it. And so I don't even want to pile on. I just want to, I just felt awful for him because the guys carried the torch as good or better than every other American wrestler we've ever had. And I think he's going to continue to do so. But, the vultures are circling, so to speak. And now there's a lot of guys that had initially checked out on the notion that they could beat Jordan Burroughs. Now a lot of people think that they can beat him, and he's going to have to overcome that. I think he's going to want to. I think he's going to come back blazing. But I think the dynamic is different now. I think it's going to be different. He's going to have to earn back that dominance. But this guy has shown that he likes those challenges.
Yeah.
He could have walked away as a World Olympic champion 4 years ago and been, and he chose to not. He chose to stay in the fire. He chose to stay in the arena and slug it out. So that same guy is a prime candidate to overcome an event like this and use it as a positive and have it fuel him. Whether or not it will remains to be seen, but I think this guy, he didn't show up. I mean, he didn't wrestle like an Olympic champion. That's why he's not right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, he was 132 going into the other day. 130-2.
It's crazy. Freaking outstanding. Hey, can I ask you? This is a tough question. Tough question. You ready for this?
Yeah.
You're Kyle Dake. Okay.
I'm going down.
Okay. Well, he's going down. I promise you that he's going down. So Jordan Burroughs loses on the front side. He's got to wrestle back. If Jordan Burroughs takes bronze, he's sitting out at the trials next year. Are you cheering for Jordan Burroughs to medal or not?
Here's the reality, Ben. It's a funny question.
It's a tough question.
It's a funny question because I think you and I know the answer. Okay.
I think the answer is no. He's not cheering. He says he's happy.
If you give Kyle the magic wand and say, "Here's a magic wand. Nobody's gonna know. What are you gonna do to this match?" I think he would wave the magic wand for Burroughs to win because he wants America to do good. But he's hoping that he loses since there is no such thing as a magic wand. Am I making sense?
Not
Not really.
Not really. No.
think it does. It's just like it's like when you're like there's a healthy competition amongst people, and I think in a healthy way, Dake wanted him to lose, but if he wins, Dake's not going to be kicking the can. He's going to be like, all right, cool. America's going to, get a bronze. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think he's going to, you know what I mean? It's not going to, he's not like some sour grapes guy.
Yeah, I mean, but Kyle, Dake's whole life purpose is to make the world team next year. That's his purpose in life right now.
Let's just say this. He ain't losing sleep over Jordan Rose not getting the bronze. He's perfectly fine with it.
I would agree. Okay, fair enough.
And that's okay. I don't blame him.
That's okay. He's a competitor.
That's healthy stuff, man. That's.
I agree.
How do we get people competing against one another and expect them to, play nice and play patty cake at the Olympics together?
It's their life.
Yeah, exactly.
So that should be interesting because now Jordan does not get to sit out the mini tournament next year. So he's in that mini tournament, which he has not been in since his first year, right? In 2011 was the only time he was in the mini tournament. So it does create a new dynamic for next year. That should be interesting.
It'll be interesting. I mean, and I'm cheering for him. I really am.
Okay, let's talk about real fast. Let's talk about that final. Did you watch the final?
Yes, I did. That dude.
It was awesome.
Mark Perry said something that's interesting on Twitter that I thought was true. He said, Yazdani is reinventing what hand fighting looks like. And man, when you watch that match, I mean, his style of how he goes about doing that it's different.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? He's not that powerful looking, but he gets so much power behind the stuff he does. I mean, at the World Cup, he made Alex Dieringer, who's a beast, look like a child. I mean, what he did to him was like, holy crap, did that really just happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing. Hey, did you hear that Yazdani accused Gadeev of greasing during the match?
Well, did you see Burroughs accuse him of greasing?
No.
Hey, okay, Burroughs would never say that publicly, but if you watch early in the match, Burroughs snaps him and then starts pointing at his hand. Watch that match again. You'll see Burroughs snap him, and because obviously if you can't get any kind of grip on the neck, that's going to take away from Burroughs' style, because Burroughs' style is heavily dependent on him, moving the head around and adjusting to it. So, hey, well, we know he's using PEDs. Are we really surprised he didn't put some grease on himself?
No, I'm not. I'm
not either. So, yeah, he probably did.
Yeah, I guess he probably did. It's just like, I guess he probably did grease. I mean, I think, anyways.
But the amount, okay, so then back to that final. Yeah, if you watch that Burroughs match, early in the match, Burroughs snaps him, and then he kind of looks at his hand like, what the freaking heck? Yazdani Chiridi, the amount of composure he kept, he's not old. I don't know how old he is. He's not that
20.
old. He's only 20?
The average age of the Olympic champions this year is 22
I
and a
wonder what
half.
It's been in other years. I don't think it's been that young.
Well,
because I remember when I was there.
I think it has been. It just hasn't been that young for American Olympic champions.
No, I don't believe. And I remember thinking how young I was in 08.
I think it's been that young.
I don't think so.
Satiev won in 08. He was like freaking 48.
He was 31 or 32.
But I think it is. I think it's 22, 3, 4, something like that. Between 22 and 4. We got to get somebody to pull those stats.
Someone do some damn research real fast. Okay, hold on. I'm going to look at it. Oops. Freestyle wrestling. Okay, freestyle wrestling. Okay, here we go. Let's see the results, and we'll just... no, didn't your guy win at heavyweight? And he's old, too. Tomizov was old at heavyweight. Mindrashvili was old at 84 kilo. Satiev was old. Batirov was not young. Sahin, I don't know how old he is. Let me see. He is currently 33, so he was 25 at the time.
Asgarov was 19.
Asgarov didn't win.
That was in 2012.
Let's see. 85, so we got Muradov was 23. Batirov, let's see how old Batirov was. Batirov was 25. So now we're talking like 27, 28 average age because Satiev
I think it's younger though. I think it's younger by and large.
Think so?
Reba
Mindrashvili was 32. I thought he was like 28, 29. He was 32 at that time. And Tomizov was in his 30s.
Tomizov was 31 because he and I are the same age.
Yeah. So they were older in 08. I think this is a randomly young year.
No, 2012 though. 2012.
Okay, I'll Google it right now. Tommy, for you. And you owe me push-ups because we spent push-ups on this.
Who won in 2012?
Okay, 2012 Freestyle Olympic champions. We have... What the hell's going on here? I want the results, dang it all. All right, here we go. No, that's Greco. Freestyle. Oltu Sartanov. See how old he is.
He was like 20.
He's 87, so he's 25. We got Askarov. He was young. He was
19.
92. Yeah, he was 19. Correct.
So that's so 20. So
we got 44.
19.
44. We'll total up. 86. So that's 26. So that's 70. Our total is 70 right now. Burrows was 24. So our total is 94. Sharifov, he was pretty young, I think. 88. So he's 24. So our total is 118.
Mm-hmm.
Varner is...
He was 20...
26. So our total is 144.
Mm-hmm.
And Tamaizov is... Tamaizov's, 33.
Yeah, that's going to skew it.
So that's 100
25.
177.
25.
Oh, yeah, just over 25. Damn, that was some good math, Tommy.
Yeah.
Got some numbers in your head there, boy.
Yeah, so, anyways.
Okay, let's get back on task.
All right, so Burrows was heartbreaking, man. I can't even really talk about it.
So how old is he going to be at the next Olympics? And he's
32? 32, which is on the high side of...
Definitely older, especially for a middleweight.
I agree, but he's not going to be too old next year. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
I think that's the only focus.
And he's got a lot of guys chasing him, right? In 4 years, we're going to have Isaiah Martinez. We're going to have Alex Dieringer. We're probably still going to have Kyle Dake. We're going to have...
I think you might have Aaron Pico.
Even your Aaron Pico and your Mark Hall are going to be 22, 23 years old. Which,
it's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's just that's the age where 4 years from now he might be a lot different, or he might be still the man.
Might be. So it's going to be a tough go for him in the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
July 8, 1988. So right now he is 28. Yeah, 32. Yeah, it's a little older for a wrestler.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go 84 kilos. My man, Jaden Fox, getting a bronze medal.
Dude, what a stud. I mean, animal. Didn't get taken down the whole tournament.
Did not get taken down. So the mishap he has here is that in the semifinal, he thinks he's winning the match, which he's not. It's 1-1. Now the thing that happens here, Tommy, is that on the value of the points. So if it's a 2-point takedown versus a 1 and a 1, so it's tied 2-2. The caution does not matter, right?
Right.
Now the issue is if it's 1-1, which it was, Jaden had scored the last point, but the caution takes precedent over the last point. And if you watch the match, and you and I talked about this, the Turkish guy thinks he's winning. So the Turk thinks he's winning, which he is not. And then you see with about 30 seconds left, I think the Turkish guy kind of realized that he's in fact winning, and he slows down. And Jaden doesn't realize till about 5 seconds left that he's actually losing. Makes an attempt to score, is a few seconds late.
Now, before we get into this, does Jaden have a hearing problem? I've heard that he does.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard rumors of that. I don't know. I don't think it's discussed publicly.
Well,
I cannot confirm that. In fact,
I saw him in the bronze medal match right when it started. The ref talked to him before he shook Salas's hand, and he put his finger behind his ear and leaned into the ref to have the ref repeat himself.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So I can't confirm or deny that. I've had conversations with him, and he's never acted like he had a hearing issue or not. So I don't know about that. Obviously, Bill Zadig said he was yelling that Jaden was losing, and he didn't realize that.
By the way, I will be calling him Jaden for life now. If his mama, if a man wants to be called Jaden, he's gonna be called Jaden.
There we go. So he has a great performance. So let me get to this. Let me get to this Salas match. Can I get to this or what?
Let's do it, man.
It's a shit show, just all around. So here, let me just start. So the last minute and about 15 seconds is very quiet. It was about a minute and 25. Okay, so Jaden gets he gets the first caution, right?
Right.
Caution, gets a point because Salas doesn't score. Salas is doing nothing. Jaden is continuing to be more aggressive than Salas is, but because they feel like they have to give the other guy a chance, they caution Jaden twice, which is just stupid, just pure stupidity. Put Salas back on the clock. If he don't want to wrestle, caution him, right?
Correct.
Because say in the instance that Jaden's been more aggressive the entire time, and say he doesn't score on Salas and it's 1-1. Now Salas wins because you felt like you had to give Jaden some cautions to make it fair, or what? I mean, that's stupidity, right? So so they give him the 2 cautions, so he goes on the clock. So now they start wrestling, right? And they get in this crazy scramble. So number 1, I believe it started at 5:04 was when the 30 seconds started. So they stopped the match at 5:54, right? Which is 50 seconds when it's supposed to be a 30-second go. So there was a few very, very, very momentary breaks in action, which I don't know what the criteria is there, Tommy. And I don't know that it's clearly defined. I don't think it's clearly defined.
It was happening fast. The rules are pretty sketchy in terms of how we interpret this, and I don't know what to think of it. I mean, honestly, I thought the right call was made, Ben, but just think if you were Cuba, how you would feel about how poorly that was executed.
Because there was a break they were not touching twice in that scramble.
Right.
Where they actually split apart. So there was a chance to stop it after the 30 seconds. I mean, and then the other part of that is that there's 6 seconds left, right? And they haven't ruled a takedown for Jaden yet. And Jaden has his hands locked on a double leg, and they just stop it then? Like, why would you stop it then?
Yeah.
Like, of all the times you would have had to stop that action, you decide to stop it when there's 6 seconds left and Jaden has his hands locked on a double? Like,
amazing.
I don't even. So
it was
poor.
I wouldn't say that match was corrupt. That match was just poorly handled. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, if I was Cuba, I'd be really disappointed in how that was handled. I do truly believe the right call was made.
Well,
but
I don't know about the right call being made, Tommy, but the right guy won. Because Jaden shouldn't have been on the clock in the first place.
You're right.
He should have never been on the clock. So, in my opinion, the right guy won. But there was a lot of wrong calls being made, and a lot of wrong calls never adds up to a right call. It's just a lot of wrong calls.
Oh.
And the other thing is, under the rule book, now I'm going to go against Jaden for a second here. Under the rule book, I don't know that he had a takedown. Just the way I've seen him call it, is where you have to totally be covering over the top of their legs with your hips, And if you watch where they gave him the takedown, he was kind of out to the side a little bit still. So,
I thought it was too. I don't think that holding onto a guy's foot when you're on your hip constitutes anything other than you're taken down.
Well, listen, I would agree with you there, but the way they called it, I mean, if you think of Gomez Metcalf, right? And the reasoning they used there at the Pan Ams, where
that's a
Gomez
good point.
wasn't covering the hips. I mean, and that's the terminology. And I've had a few other refs that drive me crazy tell me this at tournaments. Well, he wasn't covering the hips. I'm like, yeah, but he was behind both arms.
Right.
Well, but he wasn't covering the hips. One of my guys lost a match at Fargo because of that this year. I'm like, no. He was behind both arms, but he wasn't covering the hips. And I'm like, for God's sakes, it was a takedown. So under the terminology that they use on a very regular basis, I don't know it was a takedown. Now, the right guy won, and that's what we wanted to happen. So we'll say good to go.
And when you say right guy, you mean not because he's American. I think he's just the right guy won. He out-wrestled Salas.
Because he should have never been on the clock. It should have been 1-0. Salas is not going to score offensively against Jaden. And if anything, Salas should have won on the clock again because he was not being as aggressive as Jaden was.
By the way, Jaden's basically a left leg lead.
Nah, he switches.
Yeah, but he's only dangerous with his left leg forward.
I love how we're having like a useful debate, and then you bring up something that you want to prove your point with from like 6 months ago. 6 months ago. I mean, that was a long time ago.
Gosh, how about Jaden Cox?
How about him? 21 years old. He's got another year of college left, and then
him and Snyder could be the backbone of American wrestling.
You know what I'm kind of worried about here, Tommy?
Getting too big?
No, I think he's done growing. I mean, or he's going to shrink his body. I'm worried about them changing weight classes and shrinking that top weight class to a point where Snyder and Cox could be in the same class. Because I don't know that Jaden can go much smaller than 189.
The other thing that's interesting is I think David Taylor is not going down, and I think David Taylor can grow into that weight.
Sure.
And I think him and Cox. I mean, those are going to be interesting matches.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor ain't getting any younger though. We'll say that.
Yeah, but he's pretty young.
How old is he? Let's look him up.
I mean, he's not. He's pretty young, dude.
He's
he's definitely
not
got
21. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, he's definitely got 4 years of just straight up prime.
What's your guess?
20.
That's not him.
25 or 6.
This one says 59.
He's
59 is not correct.
Yeah.
David Taylor. There's a professional wrestler. Okay, here he is. David Taylor is December 5th, 1990. So he's 25, going to be 26. So
yeah, dude, he's got 4 years of straight up
prime. He'll be 30
prime.
at the next Olympics. That's getting on the older end.
Nah, he's fine for 4 years.
Okay.
And then
you got Gabe Dean going in there. But what if they moved the weight class, right? Because, when we talked about it, they were talking about moving one kind of up more and eliminating the top one and adding more down low. What if that weight class became like a 200 or a 205 like it used to be? I mean, I think it used to be 198 or something.
Yeah, if it's 205, Snyder will probably go down.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't if it went to say 180 as the next weight class, or even like a 182 like they used to have. I don't know that Jaden can make it. Maybe
how hard was the cut for him this year?
I mean, honestly, when I wrestled with him when he was a true freshman, they had for a second thought they were going to redshirt him and beef him up to heavyweight. He was about 225 pounds at that time. So
he's cutting,
and he wasn't a fat 225. I mean, he wasn't super lean, but so I think he can make 189, especially once he shrinks his body down a little more. But getting much lower than that, I mean, Jaden is a big person. Hey, what are you laughing at? He's a big person.
He's a big person.
He's just a big dude.
Oh, I agree, man. We got a lot of things to be. So a lot of things in the balance.
I'm curious. I hope they do add the weight classes, and maybe they leave one around 210, and they have another one around 190ish, like they do, and then maybe.
I would say Snyder's fine for anything that's 200 or above.
You think he could go under 200 or no? Because he looks big. Man.
He could go under 200, but it depends on what the weight above was. Like, if it was like 195 or heavyweight, I bet he would be 50-50 on that.
Yeah, I mean 195 is obviously it's 18 pounds smaller than it is right now. That 18 pounds is a lot of.
The only thing is when you weigh in the night before, it's just a different.
Sure, yeah. But he's not. It's not like he's weighing in at 213 and then wrestling 213 the next day. There's no way that's happening, right? I mean,
he told me basically he skips a meal and works out twice and makes weight.
So what's that? But a big guy like that's sweating a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's walking around at like mid 220, like 222 or 3. Not ripped. Like, he's ripped when he's on the mat, but like when you see him working out, obviously he looks like a freaking beast.
Yeah.
Well, when you see him working out at 222 or 3, you can see 10 pounds of water on him. Yeah, you can see it. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. All right, so let's see. So Sadulayev beats Yassar. Both.
I think he's pound for pound the best in the world right now.
I'd say so.
Yeah, stud.
So they said he's going up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me. He's got the height.
Yeah, definitely could. And they said Gadeyev's going up. I read that somewhere too. Which he doesn't seem that huge. I mean, he's built, but he seems kind of short.
He's short. I don't think that makes sense. But I can see why Sadulayev's going up.
Yep. Okay, so 97. We kind of hit this one already. We talked about Yazdani getting screwed, and obviously talked about Kyle Snyder winning. Anything else you want to hit there?
No, I mean Gazumov's a roid monkey. I mean,
seriously, everyone said I didn't get.
I wrestled him. I wrestled him in the Urigan semis when he was the number 2 Russian behind Getsalov.
Oh, really?
And it was it was literally a decade ago. But one of the strongest humans I've ever wrestled, and it's not surprising that he just looks like the poster child for steroids.
That's funny.
I thought it was interesting that everybody that medaled in '97 was a Russian, besides Snyder.
That's the top 5 out of top 6.
Yeah, incredible.
So,
all the guys wrestling for medals besides Snyder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing else for that. It was just purely Boltukayev totally bombing out, just total.
Well, I heard he got off the juice. That's what I heard.
Well, yeah, I mean, when your country's under fire and you're heading to Rio and they're going to drug test you, you probably get a little nervous.
Oh man, it's funny how it affects some people so much. I mean, you can see it in some of the UFC fighters since you saw the start testing. Is how much worse they've gotten since they got off.
It is sad that it wasn't.
But like Asadulayev and Gadeev, who you're pretty sure are using.
I can see Sadulayev not using.
Come on, bro.
He passes an eyeball test for me where I could see that he's not. I'm not saying he is or isn't. He doesn't look like a straight up juicer to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
He does to you?
Who?
Sadulayev.
No, but he's Russian. Come on, man.
It would have been awesome to watch Yazdani and Snyder wrestle because Snyder is not a reserved guy. The reason that match was 2-1 is because of Gazumov, not because of Snyder. If you had Yazdani out there, that would have been a fun Olympic final.
Yeah, that would have been the best match we could have had.
No doubt. So the fact that Yazdani had that takedown at the end of the first against Gazumov, costing the match, that's disappointing. But other than that, we've touched on 213.
Yeah. So okay, heavyweight.
Animal.
Well, you got to feel for Travell, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's impressive about Travell's career, I think this is it for him, is that he made 6 World and Olympic teams, wrestled for the bronze medal every time.
And so Tommy, not only in every World Championship, but in literally every tournament, right? That was what someone posted.
Oh, wow, every tournament.
Every international tournament he wrestled in, he wrestled for a medal.
Yeah, no, he was steady Eddie, very consistent guy. I mean, even though he, quote, only got 2 medals, I mean, the guy was in contention to win a world championship over 5 times. I wouldn't say this year was one of them because of the circumstances, but there was at least 5 years where I'm like, Travell could win. And he never did, but not everybody does. Great career. Really sucked it up. I was texting with Travell last week. We're friends, obviously.
Yeah.
And, he told me that he wrestled live 7 times in the past 4 months. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that he went, 2-2 and got 5th, I mean, he did a pretty good job. I don't think that our backups would have done any better than what he did. So I don't think that we wasted a spot by giving Travell his due to walk out there and try to finish the deal. And I thought he did what he could. Nice. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you got to step out there on the mat, right? This is what Travell's worked his whole life for. And he steps up and he beats the world silver medalist, coming back from 5-0 the first match. And you could tell he wasn't right in the first and second match, despite the fact that he won. You could really tell that. So, man, he gave it a go. That's all you can. What else can you ask for?
Right. What do you think of the Turk?
He's a beast.
Dude shoots a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah. You know what? I love it. Boltukayev flaked out, but freaking how about Bilal Makov flaked out first round too?
Makov flaked out, yeah.
So is this because they're coming off? Is that why? I mean, like I said, it affects different people different ways. But what are the odds, Tommy? If I say this is a random draw, right? If I say Boltukayev and Bilal Makov both lose in the very first round, what are your odds on that?
Didn't Lebedev lose in the first? Or did he lose in the second round or first?
I think second round. But what are your odds on that?
Oh, dude, a lot of money.
High, right?
A lot, yeah, lots, thousands of
dollars. I mean, yeah. So
that's like a parlay. It's like
if you parlay those two losing first round.
Yeah,
it's big money.
It's big money. That is a big money bet.
That's a big money bet. So I think that's big time. And here's another weight, Tommy, where the 2 bronze medalists are both former Soviets. It's the Saidao guy and then Petriashvili from Georgia.
Right.
So you got a couple
Non-stop.
more. Non-stop
15 Russians out of 24.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's believable.
It's believable. Wow. So, hey, that was the first time where we ran all the way through, did not have one technical difficulty. And I think that was a lot of fun and easy to talk about because we're both so passionate about the subject.
Absolutely, man. And then so next week we're getting on
this is this week, so we're going to have kind of like a 10-day break period here.
Okay.
Yeah, let's wait and see if there's anything that comes out, about the Olympics that we want to talk about or about UWW, because I would be very interested to see if they're going to make some serious statements on what happened. And maybe we hit that, or maybe we even get Jaden Cox or Kyle Snyder on the phone. I think that'd be fantastic.
Well, we both seem connected with those guys, so I think we could pull it off.
Yeah. Well, we've had Snyder on once, so maybe Maybe
we can have him on at the same. Yeah, Jaden would be great.
Call Jaden and see if he wants to hop on for a few. He don't love to talk, but maybe we'll get him on here for a few minutes.
All right, man. Sounds good, brother.
All right, Tommy. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
See ya.
See ya.
You are listening to the T-Row and Funky Show, brought to you by Defend Soap. Defend what you have built.